Shall we not call quits and start again?
You're very puzzling to Darcy. At this moment, it's difficult to believe that you're so proud.
At this moment, it's difficult to believe that you are so prejudiced. Shall we not call quits and start again? Shall we not call quits and start again?
You're very puzzling to Darcy. At this moment, it's difficult to believe that you're so proud.
At this moment, it's difficult to believe that you are so prejudiced. Shall we not call quits and start again?
And welcome to the show, everybody. This is the live Q&A with the VRML mods. with us tonight. I am Monsieur Demouy, Sir Demouy, as it's spelled out. To my left, and I don't know how things are mirrored. I'm going to point and wait for the stream to update. Yeah, to my left is Gilligan, lead governor. Also in voice is Princess.
Hello.
So, there's Princess, and of course Sputnik running the show behind the scenes. I can see him, you cannot, and that is perfectly okay. So this is very, we're doing a casual thing. I see chat's already going nuts, and we're just gonna we're gonna start with kind of all the necessary information you need to know going into the season. That's more aimed at the newer players. We're also going to be going over, how Master Tier is going to work for North America and Europe. We're going to go over the ladder, how that's going to work, ping caps, all that stuff, how substitutes and everything. As that's going on, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. We've also got in the chat. Dan and Fabulous is here. Nada is here. Dakenman is in the chat. Palador is in the chat. Wolfo is in the chat, and Wit is in the chat. So if those guys see questions in the chat throughout the stream, they can, and we're not seeing those guys can nab those, put them in a channel we have in our mod discussions, and we can get those answered in the Q&A portion of this, which is just basically the second half. So we're aiming for about an hour. We'll see if that actually plays out. I know there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of clarifying that needs to be done. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything before we get started here.
I'm good. Excited about tomorrow.
Very excited. Tomorrow's a really exciting day. So yeah, we'll just start start at the top of this little list I made with the major rule changes. The one that's kind of still the clarity on that will come tomorrow morning is the purple skin ban. There is on the blue team, there is a very purple skin. It is unmistakable. The whole thing is purple. It's purple. You'll know which one it is. That one is banned on blue side. There's another skin we're going to be looking at later tonight on the blue side, just to make sure we find it acceptable until, of course, the Echo Pass update. And as well, there's a skin on the orange team. It actually looks more pink in the color wheel, in the color selection panel. So what we're going to be doing is tonight, we're actually going to be going in there, getting screenshots, making absolute judgments, defining exactly where the line is. And tomorrow morning, we will have an announcement making clear exactly which colors are banned from the upcoming season. And there will be absolutely no question from that point on. So if you have questions about which purple colors, you will know tomorrow morning before the official start of the season. So that's the purple skin. And then on other major rule changes, of course, we are now going to be allowing unofficial observers. If VRML is allowing unofficial observers in games that aren't going to be casted by official VRML casters. So the official casters have kind of the final, the final claim on any particular game. If they want to cast a game, they are the ones who get access to that game. But if the game is not going to be casted by any official VRML personnel, and both teams have to agree, there cannot be any pressure. We will enforce that whole rule on pressure. You cannot apply any pressure to the other team if you want to have a spectator. But if both teams agree, you can't have a spectator there, and the onus is on the teams at that point if there's any tomfoolery to do with that. So if you agree to it, you're agreeing to it. But that's how that's working. You can have somebody, a completely unknown individual, cast to their channel, or take video and use it to create a cool hype video, like in Lands style, or anything like that. There's some cool stuff you can do with that, and I think that's going to be a nice addition. And I know there's certain players in particular, shout out to Martin III, who are absolutely going to be utilizing that to its fullest extent. And if anybody wants to add anything to that before we move on to the format. No.
Got it.
Okay. So season format, this is the big one. So we're going to start with we'll start with Master Tier and how Master Tier is going to work. I'll actually pull up. I should have had the list handy. On which teams. I already got them that quick. So in North America, in season 1, the first cycle, that's the first 6-week cycle before the first Challenger Cup, your 10 Master Tier teams are going to be Joker, King Gorillas, Spaghetti, Synapse, Illumiduty, shout out to Wit, Ethereal. I'm going to have to talk to them on how to pronounce that one.
Ethereal.
Ethereal. Really? Is that spelled properly? Anyways, Four Kings, Wrath, Redshift, and Project Mayhem. Those are your 10 Master teams in North America. Over in Europe, it's going to be Phantoms, Team Gravity, Smash Dash, Tempo, Envy, Quackheads, Nantes Esport, or excuse me, I can never say that name right. Hellbent, Nameless, and Baked Potato. And how Master Tier is going to work, so it's going to be a round robin. Each team is going to play every other team in Master Tier exactly one time over the 5 weeks of gameplay. And actually, that 5th week is going to be a half week. Each Master Tier team is only going to have one game in that 5th week. We will then go into an off week, and nobody will be playing games in that week. There's not going to be any, as far as I understand it, there's not going to be any challenges during that week. There's not going to be any assigned matches, and then that weekend. So it's the weekend. It's not the weekend at the end of the 5th week. It's the weekend at the end of the 6th week. We will have the Challenger Cup. So that's when that takes place. So you'll play all those matches in that 5th week. We'll then go into an off week, and at the end of the off week, we have the Challenger Cup. And so what the Challenger Cup is basically our relegation system for Master Tier. So at the end of that 6-week cycle, the 5 weeks of games, and then the week off, at the end of that, the bottom 2 teams from Master Tier and the top 4 teams from Diamond will go into a round-robin tournament on that. I'm actually not. Is it Saturday or Sunday? Someone's gonna have to remind me. I don't have it off the top of my head. But on that weekend, it'll be a one-day event. They'll play in a round robin, and the top 2 from that round robin will go into Master Tier for the next cycle, and the top 4 will be relegated down to Diamond and onto the ladder. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's how Master Tier is basically going to work. All teams play each other one time exactly. And then for the 3rd cycle, for that final cycle, and it's possible this Challenger Cup might change before the end of the season, this one in particular. I can't say for certain, but for right now, currently, it operates the same as the others. And so for postseason, all of Master Tier goes into postseason. All of those 10 teams will all go into the postseason. Playoffs, so to speak, the postseason tournament. And then, so that final Challenger Cup acts almost as a qualifier for that postseason. So those 6 teams, the top 2 from Master and the bottom 2 from Master and the top 4 from Diamond, will be playing in that Challenger Cup like normal. And then the 2 teams that come out of that Challenger Cup will be the 2 teams that join the other 8 in Master in the postseason. So that's how that's going to work. And then, of course, those are the teams. As of right now, the expectation is that those 10 teams will be the 10 teams to start the first cycle in season 4. But of course, once we get to the end of the season, we'll see how everybody feels about everything. Of course, we can always everything is always discussed, and we want to the end goal is we want to be the best. We want to have the best system in place. And that's the ultimate goal. So however we get there is how we get there. And if this is it, this is it. If not, this is one more step on the way. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to say that the Master Tier will be having their 5th week will only be 1 match. For the ladder, you will still have 2 matches that week. It'll be a normal week for 5 weeks for ladder. For Master Tier, the 5th week will only have 1 match.
Thank you for that clarification. And then, so we can talk about the ladder as well. The ladder is not changing basically at all. You'll get just every team will get 2 matches every week, of course, except for that last week. Master Tier will only get the 1. And then on the ladder, you also have access to 1 challenge match per week. Those don't carry over. If you don't take a challenge match in a week, you don't get it back. They're totally optional. You don't ever have to accept a challenge match. You don't ever have to use a challenge match. But I would, on a personal note, I would absolutely encourage everyone to take all their challenge matches. It's great experience. It can only help you in the long run. It can only help you. It might not help you in the short term, but in the long term, it absolutely will. There's a limitation to which teams you can challenge, and that's based on who's near you in MMR ranking. And so you're not going to be able to challenge like Joker, or actually Master Tier won't have any access to challenges, period. So no one's going to be able to challenge Joker or Kangarillas during the season. But you won't be able to challenge if you're down in silver. You're not going to be able to challenge. You're probably not going to be able to challenge a gold team. You definitely won't be able to challenge a diamond team, generally speaking. So you have 1 challenge a week, 2 games a week. So possible you can have 3 games a week if you choose to, but otherwise it's 2 games a week. And then matches have to be submitted in order. So when you can't schedule a match on Tuesday and a match on Thursday, and then submit the scores from the Thursday game before the game on Tuesday. It's not going to let you do that. In fact, it's not going to let you if the other team has a game they need to submit before they can submit your game. Even though your game might be ready to submit, you still have to wait for them to submit theirs. There's a particular order they have to go in, and it's based on how you schedule your games. And that's why scheduling is so important. Scheduling on the website. Anything in particular I missed out on the ladder there?
No, sounds good.
Okay, and I'm sure there's questions.
Out.
If you have questions, anything we're covering, if they're not being answered in the chat, if any of the other mods, because right now, obviously, I'm not watching chat, but if any of the mods want to grab those questions, pop them into that channel, that ticket channel we have in the HQ. We'll get to those in the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch some of the questions and write them down. I noticed, so I think Fontac asked, will non-master matches be cast? The goal is yes. Of course, all the casters are volunteers, so it really depends on who's available when the matches are scheduled and such like that. But yes, we intend to cast many more matches than just the master tier.
Yeah. Master tier will only be a small portion of all casting matches. So then I guess we'll move on to the timeout system. And this is for clarity because there has been a small change in the system, in the game system itself. I don't think the rules have changed much. I don't think so. At least not since I've been a mod. But we used to have to always do a restart for every timeout. We don't have to do that anymore. Unless there is a specific reason you need to use the restart system, maybe you got a setting wrong or something before the game started, it is advised that you use the pause system from now on because it'll hold your place, it'll keep the stats, and you can move what you just pause it. You also get a timer to tell you how long it's been. And each team has access to one, I'm pretty sure it's one timeout per game. And that can be used for any reason between matches. It's a between match timeout. It basically your allowance to extend the 1 minute timer between matches. You can artificially extend it to 5 if you want to, for literally any reason. If you just need a 5-minute breather, I can. The example I've been using is when I was on Nova. There was a game where I was getting particularly heated, not at my teammates, but just in general. I was getting aggravated, and I think it was Venom who told me, just go ahead, go take a breather. We're going to take a timeout. And I literally popped my headset off and walked outside so I could get some fresh air to calm myself down. So if there's literally any reason, you can take this timeout between rounds. Now, the technical timeout, the one you see more frequently that also tends to cause more delays, is for things like drop player, connection issues, things like that. Those used to be solved with the restart button, but now they do need, you should be using the pause system for that as well. Now, when it's during gameplay, you're going to have, as I understand it, you need both teams to hit the pause button. So the same rule applies as to the restart. If the other team hits pause, you need to be reciprocating. Presuming, sorry.
I'm pretty sure you can press pause it pauses the game without the other team needing to confirm the pause.
Okay, if that's the case, then obviously you don't need to reciprocate.
The restart needs to be reciprocated. The pause does not.
Okay. But yeah, so if they're allowed a pause, you can't prevent them from stopping the game. If they have a reason to do it, and they still have their technical timeout available to them, they're allowed to stop the game. Now you only get one technical timeout during a game, so there's going to be no scumming of you using your we disconnected again. Like, it's not going to happen. You only get one. I think that's so you have the timeout between rounds. That's your timeout. And then you have the technical timeout, which is you can use that during a game only for a specific reason, and try to avoid restarts as much as possible. If you need to restart, That's the way it is. But if you can use the pause button, use the pause button.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think. I can't think of a reason to use the restart button unless the parameters of the match are set incorrectly. In all other instances, you should be using the pause button.
All right, so with that, we'll move on to substitutes. Just real quick to make things abundantly clear, there are 2 types of substitutes in our system, at least colloquially in our system. There are roster substitutes, which are really to our system, they're just rostered players. But a roster substitute is basically you have 4 players who are your main roster. You take on a 5th guy just in case you need them. That's your substitute. That is a rostered substitute. Okay, and so when we move on in this discussion, just to be clear on that, and a league substitute is a substitute that is not assigned to a particular team. They have signed up specifically as a league substitute, and yeah, that's the difference. So a rostered sub is someone who's on a roster, obviously, and a league substitute is someone who's not on a roster and signed up specifically as a league sub. So now, with that understanding, just to make clear on badges, as far as the badge requirements, a rostered sub just needs to be rostered on an active team that plays 15 games, and they will get credit, those 15 games credit for that badge. A league sub will need to actively play in 15 games. They will have to substitute in 15 games. And I understand for some people that might be difficult, but the league subsystem is really one, it's a benefit to the team so that they have somewhere to pull from in order for a replacement, and two, it's to let you get your feet wet. We really want people to be playing. If your desire is to play in VRML, the league system is a good stepping stone to get in. But if your desire is to play, we want you to find a team. We want you to find a team. We want you to make friends, and we want you to compete as that team, because that's what the kind of the core of this game is really about, is teamwork. It's the most vital element of any team is teamwork, is working together as a team. And so the badge requirements as a league sub is difficult, but as a roster sub, pretty easy.
Yeah, I know you jump in here. Though it is difficult as a league sub to get that 15 games, but at the same time, for last season we had less weeks being played, and we had less requirements for the badges, but we did have a league substitute earn their 10 games for last season. I think it was in like the first week, because they played so many sub games, or the badges. They played so many games as a league sub during the week 0. So it is possible. It's difficult. Going to be more difficult in EU than it is in NA, and it'll be more difficult in OC than it is in the EU, because there's not as many teams. But it is absolutely possible. And also, if you are a league sub and you play 10 games, and then you join a team as a rostered sub for 5 games, that is 15, and that does count. You can cross those over.
Oh, thanks for the clarification there. To me, that was implied, but yeah, that somebody would have asked, so it's a good clarification. And then just how subs are used. So teams, you can only bring in one league substitute. Roster sub, you can use them however you want. That's up to you. You can only bring in one league substitute in any given game, and there is a limit to which subs you can bring in. It's based on sub MMR, and there is a bot command in the VRML Discord. There's also a list of subs on the VRML website that you can check out. But there is an upper limit. So if you're down in bronze, you're not going to be pulling in diamond substitutes to help carry you up to a better standing. You have to use someone within your MMR range.
There is a command you can use in the server. I can't remember exactly what the command is at the moment, that can check what subs are available for your team. Even if it is listed in that command, though, you need to check on the website to make sure that that substitute is legal for you to use in your match. And the way to check that is to check the website, and you have to be logged into the website. If you are logged into the website, when you check the substitutes page, it will only show you the substitutes that are available for you to use based on your team's MMR.
Okay, and I think that's it for substitutes. And then finally, just to cover ping, and I actually just saw Aldoween's question in chat, so Aldoween, I'll address that forthright. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to use that word. Did I use that word wrong? Did I just come off as an idiot? That's okay. So ping in all regions, ping max is in North America and Europe is 150, and in Oceania is 250. It's because, Australia is surrounded by a lot of water, and in terms of water, in terms of wetness, it's very wet. So and Aldoween's question in the chat was about ping spikes. Basically, if your ping is questionable to the point that you're going to have to call in a mod, it's probably going to be actionable. I mean, that's kind of, unfortunately, it's very difficult to draw a hard line on what is over the line on ping and what isn't, as far as unreliable connections. But generally speaking, if it's bad enough that the other team is like, this isn't fair, that somebody's spiking, in it intermittently, and it's causing problems in the game, it's probably over the line. And if you're calling in a league mod and the league mod sees it spike a few times, they're probably going to make that ruling that it's over the line. Unfortunately, it's basically, with the tools we currently have access to, it's impractical for us to define the line absolutely. Hopefully in the future we can amend that, and we will always be looking for better solutions. But for right now, if your ping is spiking, if you're noticing it in the game, you probably need to act on it. And if you need to call in a mod, there's a good chance the mod is going to take action on it. Of course, there's no punishment for it. There's no punishment for it. You'll just have to either replace a player or find another server for that game. And I think that's the bulk of the really big stuff. I think that's all the big stuff. That's all I had on my list of things to go over. I don't know if Gilligan or Princess, if there's anything you think we should cover before going to Q&A.
I'm good.
Okay, Princess, you still with us?
To answer one question, you guys were talking about the list of subs. Now, if you use the command, it will show one region, so not everybody. So that was a concern, and it was fixed in off season.
Do you know the command off the top of your head?
VRML sub and then the team name.
So if you use that command in the Discord server, you will see it will list for you the subs that are available for your team to use that are also within your region. So, but you still have to check the website to be sure that that is legal, because we've had instances where in season 2, this hopefully won't. This has hopefully been fixed since then. But just in case the bot doesn't give you the correct information, check the website, log into the website, and check the website to make sure.
All right, and I'm not seeing any specific questions from chat being relayed. So I guess I'll just start looking through the chat. Go ahead and at Sir Dimwee, at Gilligan, at Echo Arena VRML with any of your questions that may have been missed. If you've already asked a question, okay. So I see one. What if my Wi-Fi is bad and there's nothing I could do about it? There's sometimes that it is like 30, and then others. Unfortunately, we have to enforce ping caps. It gets too much into affecting game balance, and players that are used to having high ping are more inclined to be able to use it in a way that benefits them, whether or not they're doing it on purpose. It's just the way things work, and it really impacts. Not just the I would say the competitive veracity of the game, but also the enjoyment for both teams. It's not fun to play against somebody who's lagging, and we don't want to have to force people to deal with that if we don't have to. And fortunately, we're in a position now where we don't have to force people to do that. There was a short time where we did have to force people to do that, and the reaction to it was not positive. So yeah, unfortunately, if that's just if you're in a, you're just gonna. If your desire is to play competitively, unfortunately you just have to find a way to get that to work out better.
B-Love asked is it possible for a diamond tier MMR to actually be higher than master tier MMR? Master teams aren't going to have MMR for this current format. They will be playing round robin, and then they'll be ranked according to the results of that round robin as the weeks go on. They will not actually be having a MMR that's comparable to the ladder.
So, and as far as teams that start out in Master Tier, don't have an MMR, and then end up in relegated to Diamond, they'll be placed at the top of Diamond based on the either a previous MMR or more likely the result of the Challenger Cup, and placed with an approximate MMR for their placement falling out of Master. So they're not going to just drop once they fall out of Master and have to climb all the way back up. You will be placed in the appropriate location for having just been dropped out of Master.
So for a couple of questions about badges and stuff, We do not make the badges. That is up to Rad. So you guys find out the badges the same time we do. We don't get to see them till release. And then with the battle pass, there was some questioning about that. Whenever the battle pass is released and we have more information, the purple skin will just depend if it's still banned or not, depending on the new update.
So yeah, so I saw some question about how is MMR calculated. It's calculated basically when you submit that game. It's calculated then. Also, Just Phantom asking how will MMR be calculated for league subs specifically. I can't reveal the specific mechanics behind the MMR calculations, but the basically when you play in a game, you'll get an appropriate MMR plus or minus based on whether or not that game was won. Also, with the weight, the score difference being weighted like normal. So yeah, as a sub, if you want to hire a sub MMR, you're gonna have to win games with the team you sub for.
Keep in mind, we don't necessarily have an answer to all the questions, as this is an experimental format for us. We will be adjusting things as we go, as we see how it works, what doesn't work. The first cycle in particular, we're going to do the best we can, but there may be some situations that arise that we're not exactly sure how to handle, such as Aldwin asks, what happens if a master team disbands during the cycle? We have never dealt with that before, so I'm not entirely sure exactly how we would deal with that at the moment, but we will be looking into that, especially if that becomes a problem. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to look into it. Of course, things happen. Sometimes things just happen, and but yeah. So as of right, we don't have an answer for that specific question right now. But it is something actively, because there's so many discussions happening. We kind of have to make decisions before the start of the season, and then those specific instance issues, we can address them as they occur. Can we rotate teammates between rounds? Actually, I think you're allowed to, as long as you never have more than 4 players in the game at a time.
Yes.
So the player you're replacing has to leave first, and then that substitute the roster substitute can come in and play the next round. So you can't have them pop in while that 4th player is still there. That 4th player has to leave first.
Yes.
Rockter asking how are challenges working this season. For ladder, same as last season, you get 1 a week. For master tier, you don't get challenges this season. Twisted, I think that's the question I just answered. What will the ranking games
during rounds? Yes, you can still. Just to clarify, he asked again. Just to clarify, you can rotate teammates during the round, but you cannot have more than 4 people in the arena. You can have extra spectators, as we've outlined already, if both teams agree beforehand, and that extra spectator could be one of your rostered subs, but they cannot be in the arena as a non-spectator at the same time as your other 4 players. So you have to have someone jump in to spectate, and then before the person in spectate can jump into the arena. That makes sense. No more than 5 players at a time on either team. Or I'm sorry, no more than 4 players at a time on either team for any reason.
So Fiji Juice asking about how that impacts counting games for badges. It as long as you're rostered on the team, it doesn't matter if you're playing the game or not. So if you leave the game early, it's not gonna matter. So what if someone leaves and then a league sub joins, and the player that left, the player can't be joining back? I mean, if they join back, that's a violation. They have to wait until that substitute is gone. So yeah, you cannot. It happened last season, and it was a mistake. It was an honest mistake. But a team ended up with a player in the game, a 5th player. He freaked out, went into spec, and it was a big no-no. It was a big no-no.
It was a round forfeit for that team.
See, I wasn't even sure of the result of it. So there you go. So yeah, don't do that. Just if you make a mistake, just don't do it, because it's too easy to abuse. That's what this comes down to. Is things like that can be abused. That leeway, any leeway we give, somebody will eventually abuse that, and then everyone will be asking why we allowed the leeway. So no leeway. The live coaching question. No, coaches are not currently allowed in the game. Strictly speaking, At least, yeah, yeah, because again, you can't have more than 4 players in the game. Now, if you do have there is, the unofficial spectator thing we have going on this season, but I would hesitate suggesting anyone use that for live coaching unless both teams are agreeing to it, I suppose. But that's what it comes down to. Go ahead, go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can have extra people in the game. It's not being cast by VRML if both teams agree beforehand. And by the way, when 2 teams agree or disagree to not have spectators in the match, you need to decide that beforehand. And it is preferable that you decide that in Discord. Public Discord. We have the League Organization channel. Actually, I don't know if it's still called League Organization channel. It is. We have the organization channel under the locker room category for Echo Arena VRML Discord. Please use that channel to discuss whether or not you will allow your opponents to have spectators in the match. Because if someone shows up and you didn't agree to it and you want to open a ticket with us, we're going to need to see some evidence that it was either agreed to or not agreed to. So have that discussed in Discord before the match. And yeah. And so in that case where if 2 teams do agree that to allow extra people in the match in spectator, then in that situation you could have I suppose you could have some sort of live coach in there, but they cannot be in the arena. They have to be in spectator mode.
And just to reiterate, if you are not allowed to put pressure on the other team at all, I will personally go out of my way to enforce that rule. Do not put pressure on other teams at all, before the fact, after the fact, or during the fact. And then there was another question. I know Whit says he answered it in the chat, but I wanted to go ahead and answer it because it's more of a general question. I understand why it was asked. How will teams get into Master Tier? Although it seems like that was already explained, but I can understand why the question is being asked. So, like, let's say you're a bronze team and your goal is to get into Master Tier. You're going to have to work your way up the ladder week by week and get all the way up to diamond. So you're starting bronze, go up to silver, go up to gold, go up to diamond. And then you want to get to the top 4 of diamond. So it's literally the top 4 teams on the ladder. And then at the end of that cycle, whichever cycle you got into that top 4 position, you'll end up in the Challenger Cup. And if you get in the top 2 spots in the Challenger Cup, you start the next cycle in Master Tier. So that's your journey all the way. You got to climb the ladder all the way up. And then once you're at the top of the ladder, you got to play in a tournament and win that tournament. And if you win that tournament, if you're the top 2 teams in the tournament, you get to be a Master Tier. So it's not easy, but there's definitely a pathway to getting there. And I look forward to all the teams that are going to be vying for that this season and in the coming seasons.
And for clarity on if you need to know when those Challenger Cups will be or any schedule at all, the calendar for this season is on the website. It's also posted in the Echo Arena VRML server under the links channel. You can also type into the bot channel !calendar, and it'll bring up an image of the calendar for season 3.
And I don't know that this question was legitimate, but I'm going to answer it anyways. I think maybe someone's having some fun, which is fine. Fiji, you're fine. I'm not upset or anything. If this was a joke question, but if not, I'm going to answer it earnestly. It says someone said that streaming is legal in VRML games. Is it true? Absolutely not. Not only is it not legal in VRML games, it's a bannable Rad. If someone submits proof for you doing it, Rad will give you a ban for having done it. So we don't even need to outlaw it because if somebody does it, Rad will ban you. If you're banned from the game, you can't play VRML. Streaming. Don't even look up you might want to know just so you don't accidentally come across it. But streaming, very, very illegal. There will be action if you stream on multiple levels.
If it is considered an exploit by Rad, it is considered an exploit by VRML. There is no disconnect there.
And yes, caption, bottom 2 master, top 4 diamond. What percentage of teams will be in each tier? I have the percentage somewhere. I actually have it in Princess just PM'd it to me the other day to remind me.
We have it from season 2. It was 10% master, 12% diamond, 15% gold, and then 40%, 25%, 40%, something like that. But it's a little different now because of the way the format is with Master. I don't have the numbers on what it'll be this season.
Also, another question, Cookie Fox asking, I hear Joker trains have been banned too. Is that simply rumor, or is that true? It's just a rumor. As long as there are, there's another something kind of similar to that. No, what was it called?
The Nebula train.
Nebula train. Thank you, Hacken. Thank you, Gil. The Nebula train is absolutely banned. I'm not going to explain what that is, but the Joker train, not banned. Some people will say it's annoying and they won't like when you do it. I don't have an issue with it, and it's not against the rules.
If you are the captain and you click that your team is active and participating, yes, that's the whole team and not just the individual player.
Yeah, if you want to receive matches, you have to have your captain check that box on the website that your team is active and participating weekly on your team page.
And Fiji's saying I was being serious, had a scrim, and they were scrimming, and they were insisting it was legal. No. In fact, it's so illegal. Had you filmed them doing that, Rad would have taken action. Doesn't matter if it's in a private or a pub. Exploiting is exploiting. Exploiting is exploiting. That's it. I'm not saying that. I'm not being aggressive with you, Fiji. I'm just being a matter of fact. I do appreciate the question because you're probably not the only one with the question.
And the backwards regrabbing is not a bannable offense.
Nope. Perfectly acceptable. Does each team play a solidified a certain amount of games, or does it depend? So you're assigned 2 matches every week, and you have access to 1 challenge every week. So hypothetically, at the end of this season, the latter teams could play anywhere between. They'll play a minimum. I gotta do math. A minimum of 30 games, a maximum of 45 on the ladder. Someone asking what is streaming. We're not going to be describing exploits on stream. Sorry. I understand the question and I appreciate you asking, but that's not something we're going to put out like that. I love the fact there's so many people in here asking questions. Some sort of trading feature for teams and or a draft. They do it on their own as it is.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, and that's
us
the
being
sort of
VRML.
thing like. Yeah, that's like if we were more like Onward or not Onward. The Blizzard first-person shooter. Somebody help me. Somebody in chat's already typing it out. Who's gonna help me here? Who gets points? Overwatch. The Overwatch. Yeah, thank you, Wazda. Overwatch, like the Overwatch League, there's a limited number of teams. It's a franchise system. That's probably more set up or something like that. We're not. Our system is very anarcho market, free market, so to speak, as far as players are concerned. Are there any plans on if there is a tie for win-loss at the end of cycle between rank 8 and 9? So since it's a round-robin system, there's already established methods for doing that. So there will not be ties. Ties, they're mathematically impossible if you allow yourself to go deep enough in the tiebreaker, and we will absolutely go deep enough in the tiebreaker if we have to. Because it won't matter for cycle, like as far as 1st through 8th, it won't matter for cycles 1 and 2. Only 9th and 10th will matter there. But it will matter. All placements will matter in that 3rd cycle because that'll inform postseason seeding.
And there is some. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Gil. Same question.
Saying, what are the grounds for punishment for unsportsmanlike conduct? What are the punishments as this event to end game and Discord scrims? We are expanding our area of where we'll be looking.
That was something I should have had in the beginning. Sorry.
Yeah, we should have put that one in. Oh well, we're doing it now. Unsportsmanlike behavior is a broad term. VRML does not tolerate racism, hate speech, like any kinds of real life discrimination. And we will be, if it is reported to us that you have been behaving in such a way, we will be looking into that, whether or not it is in a VRML match. But like most things that involve disciplinary actions, it is up to moderator review and discretion. We don't have a hard line on this is what is acceptable and this is what is not, but just be nice. Just be nice to people.
And so this isn't going to, I'm saying this for clarity, but it'll probably won't contribute to clarity. It might actually contribute to more questions. The intent of the expansion of that enforcement grounds is not so much for like exploiting and things like that, because exploiting, RAD's going to handle exploiting on their own. We don't really need to expand for that. It's for things like racism that happen outside of the game. Things racism, sexism, harassment, bullying. Things where people have come to us and said somebody's treating me like this, and we both play in the league. It's just not happening here. We say we don't approve of this behavior, but there's nothing we can do about it. And that's never sat right, I think, with any of us. And so we're gonna, because we can expand that enforcement territory, and that behavior is simply not acceptable. That was the intent behind the expansion there, was to catch that behavior that we previously weren't acting on for technicality, and we just don't think the technicality excuse is good enough anymore. Especially, the way some people treat each other is not acceptable, and we're going to go so far as to not endorsement by saying you can't play here if that's how you treat people.
And to go along with that, you can report in the support channel and open a ticket. Anything that is submitted to us is not given to the person we take action towards. Nothing is shared. No names, nothing like that. So just open a ticket and the mods will help with that.
Yeah. I just posted a link to the Echo Arena rules for VRML. At the top of that page, you can find the league member code of conduct for VRML. It is also listed in our Discord server in the rules channel.
Rox Titan has a very good question that I don't think we're going to be able to answer right now. I'm copying this and putting it into that channel so we can have a discussion about it, because that's once again, Rox, with a very important question on ping. And like I said, right now I don't think we could give you a sufficient answer, but that is something we should speaking in a capacity of should and shouldn't. We should have a rule for that, and it's something we should definitely discuss. Whether or not we'll have an answer for that specific scenario right now, particularly if no one's doing that, we'll see. But if that's something that is a persistent issue with someone in particular, it's something we'll have to address. So I did already put that into our mod chat, Rox, and it will be considered earnestly.
VRML does not contribute to report features in-game. RAD and Oculus both work together for the report features, so that's something to request on their side, not ours.
Yeah, anytime any player in VRML has any question or problem, or they need to report something that is related to VRML that they think VRML can answer for them or take action on, please visit the support channel in the Echo Arena VRML server and open a ticket. Open a ticket for everything. Don't ping the mods. Don't DM the mods. Don't DM the governors. Just open a ticket, because that leaves it open for all the moderators to view, so we can all check each other's answers to make sure we're giving you the correct answer. It's also logged, so we have an official record of it. So, if you want to tag us or report someone, anything like that, open a support ticket, please. Please use that bot. It is very helpful for us. It's helpful to you. It's a great thing that we implemented during last season, and it really has been an efficient tool for us.
And so I saw Wit had answered this in the chat, but I'm going to answer it over voice, because Hex asked, will there be an explanation about the illegal moves so players who don't know can recognize it and report it? And no, and the concern there is that we'll be basically providing people directions on how to exploit. And that's, I can't say that would be a very responsible thing to do. I think Wit's response to that was perfectly spot on, that you should just generally, if you're concerned about it, go ahead and record. Yes, Pixel Patrick, I do love you. Go ahead and record your perspective, and if you ever have a question, just send it to the mods. If you're unsure, if you think a movement doesn't look right, if it looks a little exploity, if it looks like they're getting a little bit too much out of something, go ahead and just send the recording to the mods, and we'll take care of it. or to rat even if you think it's exploity. Something else.
Snake Master asked, how do you check your team's schedule, such as when games are played, including dates and times? Every Monday at noon, VRML will post the schedule for matchups, and what that means is we will tell you which teams you're going to be facing. It is then up to your team captain or whoever it is on your team that does the scheduling to schedule those matches with the other team. And then your team captain will have to schedule those on the website, and then once that happens, it will be listed on the website. So if you need to check your own team schedule, you can talk to your team members, your team captain. It will be on the website, but only after it is scheduled by your team captain with the other team captain that you're supposed to face off against. So that is not, we tell you who your opponents are, but it is up to you to decide when that match will be played.
And Swag asking what will happen to colors black and white. They're fine. Black and white colors are perfectly acceptable. Although I think the white one on orange looks tacky, but that's just my personal opinion. Woodsy asking, is sidestepping or small play space abuse illegal? The general rule is 4x4, and taking a step in that 4x4 is fine. Even 2 small steps. It's just if you're getting more than that, you're starting to press up on the exploity line, and if you get significantly more than that, you're over the line. So 4x4, and that 4x4 is assuming you're standing in the center, not at the very corner edge, and getting a full, however much the math works out, full corner to corner. What's that, like 6 feet or something, 8 feet? I don't know, whatever it is. 4x4 feet, Jane. Not meters. Oh my goodness, that would be big. No, 4x4 meters. That's almost like 4x4 yards. It's like 12 foot by 12 foot, give or take. I don't know how it actually works out, but no, yeah, 1.2 by 1.2. Yeah, Palador, good clarity there. Jumping and ducking is not exploits.
Yeah, Doc in chat making a good point. It may be trivial to some people already. It is highly recommended if you're a new team and this is your first time playing at VRML. It is highly recommended for your team to have their own Discord server. It's a great way to organize and discuss strategy and scheduling and all that thing. It's just a private place for your team to discuss things. If your team is new and you don't have competitive experience, make a Discord server for yourself. It's super easy. And you can keep track of things there. It's not required. It's highly recommended.
Super Nerd asking, if the match is not streamed, can we discuss pushback of the schedule? I wouldn't, just because there's no way to tell if you're going to get streamed on any particular day for any particular reason. If you want to take that gamble, I mean, it's up to you. How you schedule your games is up to you. But I wouldn't suggest making a gamble, because there's only so many casters, and there are a lot of teams. There are a lot of factors that go into picking. And so really it's a roll of the dice. It's a very low chance roll of the dice to do something like that. And then Fiji also asking, is anchor training illegal if you don't know what that is? So ultimately it gets to you can somehow throwing faster than 19 meters a second, but somehow using the head. So here's the thing about that. If it's, I'd like more information about that. If you have a recording of it anywhere, if you could PM that to me, that would be amazing. But generally speaking, if you're getting the disc going faster than 19 meters a second, you've probably discovered an exploit, and it's probably an exploit. But if you want specific clarity on that specific thing, if you could find a video of it, that would help a lot.
On the casting thing as well, please keep in mind, everyone who works for VRML and everyone who works on content creation for the community, including the casters, we are all volunteers. We are not paid to do this. This is not our job. We do this because we love it, not because we are supposed to. Do not ping the casters to ask the casters to cast your game. That will most likely ensure that your team does not get cast, because we don't need that. The casters will cast as many games as they can at their discretion, at their own availability. This is a volunteer thing. Do not ping the casters. We will try to cast as many teams as we can, but there's no guarantee. And you just have to keep that in mind. It's a volunteer thing.
Whit has a good response there, saying just the overlay might show a shot going faster than 19. See, here's the thing. Here's what I'm imagining, Whit, is that they're chaining with the first person grabbing the geo and the last person holding the disc with the opposite hand as they hold on to each other, and that allows them to get the disc to, even if the throw itself isn't over 19. Sounds like the disc is moving. The disc itself is ending up moving a lot faster than 19 in a really interesting way, and I'd probably be curious to see Rad's take on it as well, personally. It's certainly something we can have a longer mod discussion about, though.
Just want to throw this out here too. We're gonna end the stream in about 5 minutes. So any last minute questions here we can get in. I don't know how to say your name, guy, but someone pointing out in the chat, headbutts can go faster than 19 meters per second, so that can show up a little weird sometimes.
Yeah, because they said that someone's hitting it with the head. So I don't know. It really depends on. It really depends. It really the thing about exploits, and I say this a lot, and I shouldn't say this on the stream, but I'm about to, is that they're somewhat subjective. I mean, it's a matter of fact. So sometimes exploits are simply subjective. Is it an exploit or is it a clever use of mechanics? And really, it comes down to someone has to make a judgment call, and that becomes a standard. So this is something we'll look into and definitely consider, but I can't give any sort of absolute answer now. Also, I'm not sure how much a picture will help, but go ahead, if that's what you have, go ahead and send me the picture. That's fine too. Coney Gamer, I don't think so. Redux season starts tomorrow at noon Eastern. FARS, no, this is not the Stack, but it is hosted by the Stack, and we are very grateful to Sputnik for putting this on. Anybody who's not aware of the Stack, it's a stream it's a podcast that Sputnik puts on, interviewing really interesting people around the community, whether it's Echo or VR in general. And it's awesome. I love the Stack. That's why I asked him to do this for us, so he gets some eyes on the Stack, and definitely check him out. When he's live, he posts the updates about that stuff and the various stream channels and whatnot. You'll see the adverts for the last one was on Friday. He did it was with June from Japan. So definitely go check out the Stack. It's on Sputnik Cobra's Twitch channel. Sputnik, if you could pop a link, and if you're capable, if anyone could pop a link to Sputnik's Twitch in the chat, that would be awesome. He's doing this for us.
Sorry. How 818 has been asking several times. I have to keep skipping over it on accident. If a team got an MMR recalculation, will they be put into the correct tier? Yes. That is why we do the MMR calculation. You should be starting the season in the correct your correct spot, correct tier, so that we do that so that you don't have a bad time and that your opponents don't have a bad time. We want as fair games as we can get.
So Archangel Phoenix, is there a VRML rule on players spectating the team's game but not communicating with their team, obviously, for learning or practice purposes? That's where that whole new spectator rule comes into play. If it's being casted, absolutely not. You cannot have any more than 4 players in each team. If it's not being casted and both teams agree to allow you to do that, that's between you and the other team. But you're only allowed to come to that agreement if the game is not being casted.
Also want to point out, I posted it in the chat earlier, and I noticed that Princess just posted it in the chat as well, the link to the rules page for Echo. Those are not entirely up to date for this coming season. I'll be working on that. Several of us will be working on that late tonight. So that should be updated before tomorrow at noon, but not all of the new changes are up there yet. But that is the link to the rules. So please, please, please make sure everyone on your team, especially your captain, is familiar with those rules.
If the position reset exploit was not patched out, it's still in. It is an exploit. That is an exploit, 100%. So for any question on that, it's an exploit. Don't do it. Rad will act if somebody reports you for it, 100%. So just don't do it. We've hit our that 1 hour. It looks like questions have slowed down, so we'll wrap it up here. We appreciate everybody for coming out and watching. We had almost 200 people watching at peak there, which is amazing. So can I ping Demi to cast? You be quiet, Powder. We appreciate everyone for coming out. Thank you, Gilligan, for joining me here on camera. Thank you, Princess, for being here on voice. Thank you, Sputnik, for producing the whole thing. Thank you to the Stack for being awesome. Thank you to Wit and Dakin and Nada and Dano and Wolfo. And I hope I'm not missing anybody for helping out in the chat there, as well as other people answering questions when they were seeing them when they
Palador and Alakos, Dano as
Palador
well.
and Alakos, sorry. I mentioned Dano. I did miss Palador and Alakos. Sorry, guys. And everybody else who's helping out answer questions, thank you very much. Not much else to say. Anything you guys want to say in closing, Gil or Princess?
No, thank you to everyone who volunteers to make VRML and the Echo community as successful as it is. I love it. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
All right, what they said. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in.
Sorry, one more thing. I got so many questions on my beard, so I just got those out there real quick. I haven't trimmed it or shaved it since OC6, and that is the only secret. Just don't touch it and let it be its glorious self.
So, all right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I've been Monsieur Dimwee. That was Gilligan, Princess, and Sputnik. I look forward to casting maybe some games tomorrow. We'll see. And, yeah, I hope to see you on those streams on this channel in the coming weeks. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.